Hi guys, hi Sweeten, hi Maha, Charmi, hi. All doing today? I'm doing good, Maha. Hi Ashmita,
Hi, Jasmine.
how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. So, guys, I'm back again with Ashmita, and I'm kickstarting a new series called Soul Searching, where the series is more about we'll be discussing how to be mindful, what are different practices of mindfulness, and how to develop a positive attitude towards life generally. So today we want to discuss how mindfulness, is the key to develop a positive state of mind and attitude. So let me start asking you the first important question, Ashmita. What is mindfulness to you?
Yes. So mindfulness is. Before that, can you hear me and see me
Yes,
properly?
yes, yes.
Okay, great. Yes, Tasneem. So mindfulness is one of the most used term. Mindfulness is something which we are actually born with, but over a period of time, somewhere we just forget that we have that one quality. So, what
Very true.
exactly does mindfulness mean? Mindfulness means to be fully aware of, to be fully aware of all your senses, to be in that moment, to be aware of your thoughts, to be aware of your feelings, to be aware of your bodily senses, to be aware of your what is happening around you, what are the things that you are surrounded with. Basically, in one simple line, it means moment by moment awareness, to be aware of each and every minute thing that is happening within you, mentally and physically, as well as what is happening around you.
So with this lockdown, everyone is like it's kind. This lockdown is really stressful. It's affecting everybody's mood, and we're spending more and more time with the family and shared responsibilities. So that this kind of has it leads to conflict basically. So there are a lot of negative thoughts running in your head, and that leads to conflict. So in such a stressful situation, how can one manage the conflict by being mindful?
Absolutely. This is something which all of us have been going through during our lockdown phase. And lockdown has also uh, helped us understand that we really have to be mindful of things around us and within us. So, to avoid or to resolve any kind of conflict, first we have to take that one small pause for a second. When I say pause, you literally have to pause physically as well as mentally and take that one deep breath, count up to 10, and then you have to respond and not react. Reaction is that reflex action, that knee jerk action, which is beyond your control, and you don't even realize that you have done something or said something in that fraction of moment. And this reaction can further lead to a lot of misunderstanding, and that conflict can really turn into a big fight and can lead to a lot of misunderstanding. So that pause, that mindful pause of 1 second is extremely important, so that you can process what exactly is happening and then respond to it. This is one of the most important things.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid point that you said, that when you realize that you don't like something what the other person has said, instead of reacting, we are very reactive generally. So it's best that we stop, take a pause, realize what, or I'd rather tell people that divert your attention at that point of time. Go do something else, like go drink a glass of water, or do feel
Correct.
the flow beneath you, or do something where your mind is diverted for a second, and you don't pursue that thought further. And when you pursue is when
Absolutely.
the thought of reacting also comes in. So that reaction only comes because you pursue the thought. So that's one, like you
Absolutely.
said, a very valid point that you need to pause, or you need to just uh, divert your mind to another point at that point of time. So
Absolutely.
uh, how see mind gently has a lot of these negative thoughts, because we're very anxious also. And uh, and and a lot of people, if they don't say it at that point of time, it kind of bothers them a lot. And then they keep running this mind again, this thought again and again in their mind. It leads to a lot of negativity. So how do you deal with, or what are your suggestions to deal with negative thoughts?
Okay. So actually, what happens is we want to say that at that moment of time and then we don't say, and then we keep on thinking, oh, I should have said this, oh, I should have, instead of this, I should have said that, and that just keeps on and on in our mind. So when it comes to negative feelings and negative emotions, we have to understand that the most important thing is to first accept it and acknowledge it. Lot of times we are very happy convincing ourselves that everything is hunky dory, I am very happy. We keep on suppressing that negative feeling and emotion because we don't just want to resolve it. We are happy sitting on that negative emotion.
Or sometimes we just
And
don't want to acknowledge it. We just want to,
absolutely,
it's more like an escapism. We just like live
absolutely.
in that bubble that everything is fine around.
Correct, correct, correct. And then that feeling keeps on in the background, and one day it just explodes in
Very
the
true.
worst possible thing.
Like how
So,
Minu is saying, it's like a pressure cooker. Like the pressure builds up and then
absolutely,
you're going to explode.
absolutely. So, the first important thing is we have to avoid that pressure cooker situation. So, we have to acknowledge and accept it. And there are different types of negative emotions. It can be anger, it can be hatred, it can be grief, it can be sadness. There are so many negative emotions. So, the second step is to identify what exactly is that emotion. Put a word to that emotion of what is that emotion, and then try to think, how did this emotion crop up? What was that one incident, or what was that
The triggers,
one
basically.
thing? Trigger, absolutely trigger. At sometimes it will be very easy for you to find out the trigger. Sometimes it would be a little difficult because you have gone through a lot, but you still really have to think and zero down on that one trigger and that one situation, and then take action to eliminate it, take action to resolve it, and that's how you can control and resolve your negative emotions.
So we have a question here. Someone is asking how to be natural in your expressions and yet be mindful.
Expressions as in communicating while communicating with somebody.
Yeah. Can you explain that question, because that's a little unclear. What do you mean by natural in your expressions? So I'm assuming probably you are angry, but you want to be mindful and then express. You don't want to explode. You don't want to say that you're angry, or express that you're angry, but be mindful and then manage the situation, but still address.
Correct, correct, correct. So very interesting question, which a lot of us misunderstand that whole situation. When we say you have to control your emotions, people think that you cannot express. However, that's not the fact. All we are trying here to say that express and communicate in the most effective manner.
Correct.
Now,
Well,
say for example, if I am unhappy or I am angry with the snake, so you first get clarity on yourself that what is it that is making you angry. It's not the person who is making you angry, it's the behavior that is making you angry. So separate the behavior from the person.
yeah.
So you cannot say, Tasneem, you are always messy. No, Tasneem is not always messy. Tasneem is messy maybe when she's eating,
Yeah,
or
in a
Tasneem is
particular
messy with her.
situation.
Correct, correct, correct. Do not generalize and accuse the person for that person's whole life. Just address that one small incident or situation. So that is one thing which really works well in addressing and communicating a lot of things.
So, how has the situation been for you at home? I mean, definitely everyone has conflicts, right? So, how are you able to manage that?
So in fact, we do have conflicts happening here and there a little, but good effective communication doesn't convert that conflict into a fight. So
I think
before
it's
it,
important that
yeah,
both the people understand that the expression, like you said, you're coming and telling me I'm messy is because of this particular situation, and you are not happy with it. I shouldn't get offended about it, but I should also do my introspection and understand why
absolutely.
you've expressed that to me. I think that's also really important.
Absolutely. Clarity and empathy are two most important things. Clarity in your head, what is it that you want? And always empathize, try to understand that why is this person doing a certain thing.
Yeah, very true.
That
So I think
that why will help you address a lot of
correct.
things.
So one aspect of being mindful is also practicing empathy.
Correct. Correct. Very, very important.
Right. So another question that I had for you was, like I said, it's not just negative thoughts, but it's also being anxious about the future, or it's not like a far future, but tomorrow also. Tomorrow I have this presentation, or no, next 1 hour I have to do this. How do I do this? All this planning goes into your head, and sometimes when planning doesn't happen, we really get upset about it. So that also kind of works upon our emotions. So, how do you manage your monkey mind? Monkey mind is nothing but it's so many thoughts running in your head, the clutter in your head. How do you manage it?
Absolutely. So just like monkeys are running from this branch to the other branch of the tree, running from here and there, you will rarely see them sitting still in one place. That's
Exactly
exactly
how
how
our
our
brain is.
brain works. It just keeps on jumping from one thought, the other thought, one thought to the other thought. So one of the most important thing in controlling our monkey mind is to just take a physical pause for a second. Whatever you are doing, just stop physically. Take this thing will be coming in today's session n number of times, because one of the most important thing in mindfulness is to concentrate on your breath.
Very true.
The moment you concentrate on your breath, you are suddenly very mindful of things that are happening within you and around you. So
That's
this
also
one,
one way of practicing concentration. So you start with your breath, and
absolutely
then eventually, you're able to concentrate on certain other things. So it's practice basically.
correct, correct. So concentrate on your breath. This is one thing. Second thing is you can always maintain a journal of what are the thoughts that are going around, what is it that is happening with you. If there is any specific problem that because of which that monkey mind thing is happening, address that problem. There are multiple things because of which we keep on thinking and thinking. Maybe the monkey mind is trying to remind you something constantly, so just put a reminder so that you don't have to constantly think about it. You have something to remind you. If there is some problem that is happening, can you resolve that problem instead of just thinking about it? So these are some interesting ways in which you can control your monkey mind.
I would also like to add one more point, because this is something that I have seen in my children. So we all have these voices in our head, and there's someone else doing the talking, and sometimes we're sitting and listening, and
Correct.
there are times like, oh Tasneem, why are you even thinking like that? I mean, I've thought like that. So I asked my both my kids that, do you hear your voice talking to you? So probably try to manage that voice. So my son says, yes, I can hear the voice. I know there's a voice, but my daughter isn't aware of it. So I'm sure, a lot of us are like my daughter, who haven't realized there's a voice in your head. They're two different people.
Correct.
It's not always you doing the talking, it's the voice
Correct.
doing the talking. So how
Correct.
do what's the first step to realize, or hear your voice? What would be your suggestion to them?
So there's this interesting thing that we can do is just receive the things from the external surrounding. Now, say for example, there is some conflict that is happening, maybe the coronavirus situation. Okay. So all the information that you are getting from the news, just stick to that. Don't add fuel to that. Ki, Arey, this will happen. Then because of this is happening, then I should do this thing. Acha, there is a case in my building. Oh, then these are the things that can happen. We keep on adding fuel to it.
Very true.
So stick to the senses that you are receiving externally, and don't keep on adding your own fuel to it and think unnecessarily. To give you one simple example, if you see some accident that has happened on the road in front of you, that is the external information that you're getting. Now you sit and think, oh, this can happen to me also, this can happen to somebody in my family also. Then what do I do? Whom do I call? From where will I get the help? Then which hospital should I go? Will I get good doctors? This is all adding fuel to it,
Very true.
which
Very
we
true.
have to stop.
So it's like when when there's something happening around you, I think you need to be aware and understand how your body is reacting to it. Not just
Correct.
your body, but your mind. Majorly your mind. How does it react to it? And then stop that thought if it's really not good for you.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we have Thriftopedia who was there last Friday also, and he's asking the same question. I want to take this up because the question is repeated again. How can one deal with body image issues? It's got nothing to do with the session, but this question was asked on Friday and we didn't have time to address it. So if you could quickly address that
Yes.
question, we could go to the next.
Yeah. Body image issue happens when you are not happy with your own body. So I deal with a lot of women in my training sessions and my consultations. So, women always crib and complain that, I want to be fair, I want to be slim, I want to be tall. Think logically and rationally. Is there something that you can actually change? Can you change the color of your skin? No. This is how you have been made. So there's no point in cribbing about it. Is there something that you can really change? Maybe you want to reduce weight, so take effort and reduce your weight. If you are not doing that, then there's no point in cribbing about it. So just accept the way you are instead of constantly cribbing about it, and don't compare yourself with somebody else. You are a unique individual. That superpower has made you with certain intention. So don't compare your physical appearance with somebody else's physical appearance. We often compare our physical appearance with celebrities. But you have to understand that the only job of celebrities is to look good.
And
So
they take
their
an effort also, like you said.
correct, correct. So their entire day revolves around their nutrition, their food, their gym, their exercise. We have so many else things to do. You just cannot keep on concentrating on only the external appearance, the food and the exercise. There are so many things that we are dealing with. So accept the way you are and enhance it further instead of constantly cribbing about it. So that's the best way to address body image issues. I have personally dealt my entire teenager with body image issues, constantly comparing myself with somebody else. But it's absolutely of no use because you are an unique individual. So accept it and enhance it further.
I think that's not just for body image, but that's for everything. In every
Every
situation in your life, right? You need to understand what your capabilities are, what your challenges are, how your environment is, and can you change it for the better? And if you can't change it for the better, then accept it. Otherwise, you're always going to be unhappy. And if you
absolutely,
are unhappy, there's a lot of negativity around you. And you're
absolutely.
there's no scope for personal development at all at that point of time. So I think this was the first question that I should have asked you. So we're discussing about state of mind and attitude. Are these two different things? And when we say state of mind, what does that mean? Does that
State,
connect to
state,
emotions or?
yes, yes. So state of mind is your thoughts, your feelings, everything that is there within you, your mental setup basically, for a certain period of time, or you can call it in that moment. That is what is your mental state. So we say, to give you an example, now say for example, if the child in the house wants to go and ask for some permission, that child will go and say, "Mummy ko pooch." Will that person will go and ask, "Mummy, can I go and talk to daddy right now?" Mummy will say, "Not right now. Right now he is a little angry. Talk after some time." So what is that angry? what is that thing? It is not in a happy state of mind. So
That's a
maybe
state of
after
mind. That's a present
that's
state
the
of mind.
state of mind. That's the present state of mind. And after a certain point of time, it will change. So is it possible to control and consciously change our state of mind? Yes, we can do that. And and it is also said that the result of whatever you are doing, whether it is good or bad, is not dependent on the intellectual of that person, but it is more dependent on the state of mind. Are you in the peak performance state of mind right now, or you are in a poor state of mind right now? So, just to give you an example, when we are in that full concentration, happy mode, you can do that work very quickly and very efficiently. And the result is going to be really good in comparison to when you are not in that great state of mind.
So I think
And
to
how,
always
yeah,
be in a positive state of mind, one way to be in a positive state of mind or to get control of your state of mind, I wouldn't say positive state of mind, but I would say being in control of your state of mind. I think mindfulness is another is a great way.
absolutely, absolutely. And it is definitely possible to change your state of mind. And one of the most important thing to change your state of mind, and to answer your question, is state of mind related to our emotions? Yes, state of mind is related to emotions. The only difference is that it's that emotion is there within you for a certain period of time. That's the only thing. And state of mind is equivalent to emotion to a certain extent. And you can change it on your command or your demand by changing your physical posture. So I always say this line in my training sessions: motion leads to emotion. Motion is your
That's
physical
interesting. I would
motion.
like to know more about that. You know, how change your physical posture and then your mood changes.
Absolutely. Now, say for example, I'm sitting like this, where my head is down, my eye is down, and my shoulders are a little droopy. If I sit in this posture for 2 minutes, nothing positive is going to come in my mind. Versus if I sit a little erect, nicely, with my shoulders back, my head straight, automatically good and positive thoughts will come to your mind, because whenever you change your physical posture basis the physical movement that you are doing, hormonal changes are happening in your body, which is triggering emotions. So the Tasneem, can you show that image?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So how many photos we have? Four, five. Yes. So we have five
Then,
images in the first row,
okay.
and all these images are called as body poses, power poses. So whenever you are in the power poses which are given in the first line, you be in that pose for good 2 to 3 minutes, you will certainly realize that lot of, you are filled with lot of confidence and lot of positivity. So the moment mindfully you realize that, you are feeling a little sad, a little nervous, don't sit in that same posture. Consciously, you have to put yourself in the positive body poses which are given up there. And below are the low power poses. So do not be in that power poses.
So I
So
think
that's
the first five images that you've shown here are the most, like, you know, when you are in your comfort zone, or you know, when you're really confident
absolutely,
or happy.
absolutely,
So
absolutely,
it kind of says also that, you know, these are, like, you know, the positive postures basically. I mean, positive in
absolutely.
the sense your mood is positive at that point of time.
Correct. Now, say for example, you have some uh, speech that you have to go on the stage and give, and you have that little bit of stage fright and nervousness. So, before you go on the stage, when you are in that green room, when you are backstage, adapt any of the power poses which are given in the first line. Do this thing when you are alone, not in a public place. Be in that place for good uh, 2 to 3 minutes, and suddenly you will realize that you are getting that confidence, that nervousness is not there. You are filled with positivity, you are filled with happiness, because these power poses are secreting that happy hormone in our body.
So I'm going to put up this picture for you on my story. You guys can, screenshot it. And like Ashmita said, whenever you, feel low, or you're tense or anxious, try one of these 5 power poses and see how this works for you. I'm sure it's going to work really very great for you.
Mindfulness lies in understanding that you are going at that negative state of mind and consciously changing your physical posture to bring
Very
it
true.
back in the
Very
positive thing.
true, Ashmita. Very true. So, another question that I had for you was, again, it's related to the state of mind only. A lot of us have this mood swings, okay, and I'm sure this lockdown is adding to the mood swings. It's not, it's not helping us in any way. So how do you manage the mood swings?
Yes. So this is, mood swings happen a lot of time, because we are expecting somebody else to make us happy.
Very true.
And we
I
don't
think
take
that's
charge
the
of.
major issue with all of us, that we have a lot of expectations from others, but nothing from us.
Absolutely. If we are not in a good mood, we expect somebody from our family to come and fix our mood. How is that even practically possible?
That
Maybe the
person doesn't
other
even
person.
know what's happening in your head.
Absolutely. That person is absolutely unaware you are in which mood right now. How can somebody else come and fix up our mood? So, one thing is we have to take charge of our emotions and mood, and we have to find out what works for us. To give you an example, when I am in a bad mood, or maybe I'm not feeling so great, feeling a little low. So one thing that I do to lift up my mood is, I start walking and I start listening to songs. That
Yeah,
is
I do
again
that too. I
coming
do
back.
that too. When I'm really stressed, I just go out for a walk. Put on my headphones, listen to music, and then just go out for a walk.
That is again coming back to our previous mind. Change your emotion, change your physical posture
Yeah, very true.
mindfully, and that will again change your mood and
Aware of
emotions with it.
that, something is not working for you, and you're trying to switch to another situation.
Correct, correct. The most important thing here is you are not trying to ignore the situation or the problem. You
Right?
are just giving that time to yourself to not blast and make it worse. That's the important point here.
So, mood and emotions are interconnected,
Yes.
and
Your state of mind, emotion, mood, everything is interconnected. They are all subcontinents of each other.
yeah. So I think you've answered this. I'm just trying to put this out for to the audience again. It's about being aware of your state of mind and trying to practice mindfulness so that you can be in a good state of mind at any
Correct.
point of time. So how is that related to our attitude? Are these two separate things, or
See,
are they
mindful,
interconnected again?
yes, they are interconnected. And how are they interconnected? When you are mindful, you do n number of things mindfully. The benefit of that results in positive attitude. Now, what are the benefits of mindfulness? When you are aware of things that are happening within your body and surrounding, you are much more focused. Your concentration power is excellent, so your productivity increases. You can do a lot of things in minimum time. You can come up with good, excellent solutions. You
Right.
are mindful of your own emotions and the emotions of people around you. So your relationship with people is improving. Your relationship with yourself is increasing. You are not in that negative state of mind where you constantly blame somebody else for something that is happening within your life. You take charge of your own life. So these are all things which are related to positive attitude and having positive attitude.
So your point is getting in control of your mind, or the state of mind leads to a positive attitude.
Correct.
When you have a positive attitude, you are in charge of your life, and then you know what you want to do or you have to do.
Absolutely. Just to give you one simple example, um, if we have to solve some problem, if there is some problem, you have to solve it mindfully and with a positive attitude. How will we do that? First, you change the language in which you are talking to yourself. Instead of saying, I have a problem, use the word, there's a situation, or there's this issue that has come up. That problem can be an opportunity to something. So instead of using the word problem, use these other words, situation, or
Use more positive words, because problem
use
itself is a
positive
very
words,
negative word.
negative
Like the
word.
mind is already like, oh my god, it's a problem.
Correct, correct. Another thing, another word which I always tell in all my trainings is, instead of using the word but you have to do is always use the word however. But is again the limitation.
Yeah, so your mind
In
again limits you down, saying that okay,
correct,
there's a block.
absolutely,
So however is like,
absolutely,
okay, in addition, or you do this and then you need to do this also. So it's
correct,
just, so
correct,
I think the idea here is about, understanding how your mind is functioning. Basically, when I say functioning,
correct,
it's not the technical part of it. But I'm saying what words the mind accepts, the what words the mind gets motivated with. Yeah, so we have someone saying, like, instead of saying I'm angry, say I feel anger in me.
correct,
Very true. So that's one way of making yourself also aware that, okay, find what you're feeling at that point of time, and then you're becoming more aware, and you try to do things that can switch your that current state of mind. Very
correct.
true.
And you also take responsibility for that emotion. You don't blame somebody else to do that.
Very true. I think most of the time we do that. We blame somebody else for our state of mind, or we say, like you said, that you didn't understand. I was expecting this from you, and you're not understanding. But it also happens that the other person never understands also.
Correct,
So, as a person, or as a human being, how is it we can create more empathy towards others through mindfulness?
correct. So, let me take one example of husband and wife because
I think that's a very
it,
valid situation.
correct, correct. So most of the times, husband and wife are expecting something from each other, which they never vocalize.
Very true.
We assume that he will understand. We assume that she will understand. We have to understand that we come from different families. We have different parents. Our upbringing, our value system, our belief system is
Ideologies, all.
entirely different. Ideologies are entirely different. So maybe what I am thinking comes very naturally to me, but that is not a natural part or natural behavior of my husband, and vice versa.
Very
So
true. Very
this is empathy. This is empathy. Try to understand that why this person is behaving in a certain way. That doesn't mean you excuse that person's behavior. If there is something that really needs to be addressed, be focus on that. That this is what I expect from you to do because this is going to make my life easy and happiness. Is it possible for you to do that?
I think it's also important that both the partners, or both the people involved in that particular situation, take responsibility of understanding each other, or empathizing with
Absolutely.
each other. Unless and until that doesn't happen. I think it's still a one-way bridge where we would be empathizing, and it'll look like you're giving more and more chance to the other person, and at the end of the day, you will definitely have this question in your mind that I have empathized, I've understood, I've given this person a chance, but this person has not, you know, this person is not understanding what I'm doing, or I don't see anything happening out of it.
Correct.
So I think it's
Correct.
equally important for both the people in the situation to empathize, understand, and practice
Absolutely.
mindfulness and empathy. Until then, you wouldn't find a 100% solution.
Correct.
Okay, so that was one question that I had for you: how to manage your emotions, and what the attitude is attitude connected to your state of mind? Another question that I have for you is, you actually answered this question. How mindfulness creates positive attitude. Uh, so while we're talking about positive attitude, positive state of mind, all this is about being happy. And this lockdown, yes, definitely, all of us are trying to upskill ourselves. We are trying to find new ways to keep us busy and uplift the mood and all that. But somewhere down the line, again, we become, it becomes overwhelming for us. Because we're into too many things. We're like, okay, let's do this, let's do this. I have too much time at hand. And so, what is exactly happiness, or how can one find happiness?
Happiness is a very, very relative term.
Yeah.
Happiness for each person can be different. So we have to understand that what makes us happy. So what makes you happy, Tasneem?
What makes me happy? Oh, that's a very vague question. I think maybe eating chocolates makes me really happy. Spending time with the kids makes me happy. Reading makes me happy. Having a productive day actually makes me very, very happy.
Absolutely. So
Yeah, Ashmita, but don't
similarly,
ask me questions like this, okay? I mean, tell me an element. Because, my mind goes blank. Suddenly someone asks me, I'm like, oh, I'll have the
yes,
answers, but then my mind just goes blank.
blank. So happiness for each and every person is different. For me, getting a blissful meal, good food is happiness.
I think that's happiness for
That's
everyone.
that's the ultimate happiness. However bad my day has been, however angry or I'm in a bad mood, you just give me good quality home cooked food, and that is going to fix everything.
So
So
I think you're a very
that
simple, happy person because your happiness lies in food and it's easy to find and give it to you.
yes, yes. So happiness is again different for each and every person, and happiness is something which is contagious. If you are happy, you are automatically going to make others around you happy, and you cannot uh, rely or be dependent for your happiness on somebody else, because nobody else can make you happy. So this is the most important thing. And what are the most important things that I have been doing to be in that happy state of mind? Because not every day is going to be happy. Your days are going to be up and
Very,
down.
very true. Because
So how do
internally, we probably, I mean, the mind is within us. I mean, we can take over the mind, we can control our emotions, but the external factors that add to this is not in our hands.
Correct, absolutely correct. So we constantly have to mindfully and consciously take that effort to put yourself back into that happy state of mind and that happy emotion. So what are the things that you can do is stop overthinking, like
And
we
then I think
discussed.
that takes a lot of, I mean, I know uh, that's one major thing, or what's what very, very important thing that everyone should do to stop overthinking. But that requires a lot of practice again, because your mind is not, or you're definitely not going to stop thinking. You will be thinking. And
Absolutely.
that's exactly where mindfulness comes into play, where you are again becoming more and more aware that, okay, your mind is overthinking, I need to stop. It's like that stop button there, I need to push it now.
So, like you rightly said, it is not very easy to, stop overthinking. But what you can start with is, you will not have any thought in your mind. This situation is never ever going to come. Thoughts will come and thoughts will go. What we have to aim is, if that thought is coming, it is okay. That thought should not impact you.
Very true. Yeah, I think that's a really, really valid point. That's what I think all of us should be aware of, or we should be mentally prepared that, okay, no matter what happens, I'm not going to let this affect me.
Absolutely. So that is what we have to aim towards. So like I said before, so thought is coming, it is okay. Don't fuel it with your own random thoughts, which has never happened or which is never ever going to happen in the future. So let's not fuel it with that. So let's stop overthinking. Let's stop self-criticizing.
Yeah, I think that's one major thing that we all should start practicing, self-criticizing. Because
There are n
we
num
are, we are the worst critics for ourselves.
Absolutely, absolutely. We are unnecessarily criticizing ourselves, unnecessarily demotivating ourselves. That's the most important thing. Then be grateful and practice gratitude. This is the most important thing which has practically worked for me. So I have a gratitude journal app in my mobile and I practice this thing every day. So the more you thank and the more you appreciate to the things that are happening to you, the more a universe is going to give you more opportunities to thank.
True, and also that one way kind of brings a satisfaction within you, saying that I have so many things to be grateful for.
Absolutely. So when I tell people that you have to practice gratitude every day, then people tell me, पर आज कुछ अच्छा हुआ ही नहीं. Then what should I say thank you for?
I think
Then
you
I
should
tell
say
people.
thank you that you have another you're still alive and you have another
Absolutely,
look forward.
absolutely, absolutely. So you should be thankful that your pulse and heart is still working, you are alive. That's the most important thing to be thankful for. And you have a house to stay, you have
You
food
have
to
food to
eat.
eat, obviously.
Absolutely. So be thankful about these things, the most basic things. So be thankful. Indulge yourself in some activities which you find satisfying. It could be anything. It could be, you like social work, go and help somebody. You like drawing, painting, art, music, whatever you like. Indulge yourself in that activity. Be kind to others. And the most important thing is have 100% communication with 100% involvement with your family members. That's the most important point to be happy.
So I have
Build
one.
good friends.
Yeah, I think that's really important to have good friends that whom you can go approach at any point of time, in any during any situation, and friends who wouldn't judge you. So it's really really important to have good friends. So,
Absolutely.
one question that I wanted was when you said about communication, uh, you might try to go communicate to the other person, but what if the other person is not ready? And like we have this question from somebody saying that how do we react when we see we are judged? So that happens in communication. We come tell you something, be like, oh my god, she's whining again, or oh my god, you always have a problem with this. So how do you, but we would be trying to reiterate the issue there. So how do you do
Correct.
that? How do you handle that situation?
Correct. So we have to handle the situation with effective communication, where you have to set some ground rules. So most of the times, I see these types of communications happening between husband and wife. Maybe one person is talking and the other person is, you talk and busy with the cell phone. This is one thing which I see most of the times. This is how people are trying to communicate. Communication doesn't happen like this. You have to sit face to face and you are just talking to each other and not doing anything else. Even if you think, this is a conflicting situation, this is not a happy communication that we are having. But still, make sure that you are sitting across the person face to face and then you start talking. You clearly tell that person, this is what I want to talk about, and I don't want you to judge me on these certain things, and this is the problem we are
Come
trying
with
to
an open
address.
mind.
Come with an open mind.
I think one thing that I do is, when I really want to put across my point to someone, I tell them that, I need to talk to you, and whenever you're in the right frame of mind to listen to me. But when I need time, I need so much time from you, and I want you to come, like you said, with an open mind, and then we'll have this conversation. Only when you
Absolutely.
are ready.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, well, okay, so we have this question: how do we react when we see we are judged?
So who is judging you is the most important thing. Is somebody who is within your close knit family judging you and it is bothering you, only then you react to it. If it is some third person whose judgment about you doesn't matter, we say log kya kahenge. If this is that logo ka judgment that we are trying to fix, then just don't bother.
No, I think this is
If
a judgment about someone who's very close.
Absolutely. So, yeah, have a proper communication with that person, that what is it that is making this person judge.
I
Give
think
a
the first thing, like you
justification to
said,
it,
yeah, I
clarification
think
to it.
Ashmita, like the first thing, like you said, the first thing that you need to do is understand why that person is judging you, and probably,
Correct.
see if you can have another method of communication, like change your tone, or see if you can communicate to this person in another way your message. I think that's
Absolutely.
the only option you have. We have
Absolutely.
one more question, Ashmita. Um, how does one be grateful to life when everything goes wrong? I do have a gratitude journal, but sometimes you just don't have the energy left. How do you feel grateful again?
This is exactly what we discussed some time ago. There will be situations in your life when you feel that nothing is happening your way, everybody is against you. So the most important thing to be grateful about is you are alive. You have another day to fix everything. That's the most important thing to be grateful about.
Another thing also, I think, like Ashmita had said this at the beginning of the session, that we expect things from others. So kill the expectation from others. I think you need to start expecting more from you. How can you be in control of yourself? Once you start building that, I think you'll be grateful for everything around you.
Correct, correct. Another thing we all try to do is we always try to change the other person. It
Yeah.
could be your parents, it could be your spouse, it could be your kids. However, we have to accept and realize that you can never ever change the other person, but you can always change yourself. So we have to change our thought process. We have to change our communication technique of how we communicate with somebody. And we should always talk in that language which the other person understands.
Very true.
To give you one simple example, maybe the husband is is somebody who thinks rationally, is somebody who is very practical, and the husband is a little on an emotional side of a person who always requires that emotional thing or emotional feeling in everything. So when you are talking to this kind of an husband who is very practical and rational, if it is possible for you to give some facts, figures, give some rational reason to it, some scientific explanation, something which you can associate with the data. This it can be any general communication. You talk
I
in that.
think, yeah, yeah, obviously. So that's how the person decodes the message, and it's easier for them to
Correct,
understand. It's about how
correct,
you send the message. So just look at this like this, okay? You have it's a system or it's a computer, and it's programmed to decode only in this way. So you have to send it
correct.
in that particular format. If you don't send it in that format, it's not going to decode it. It's going to send
Absolutely,
another output. It's as simple as that. Now,
absolutely.
answer that question of being grateful. I think one thing that I have personally practiced is there are days when nothing goes right for me. There are days when I feel really, really low and upset, and that's when I see my kids running around me. So I'm grateful for that, because that's so much of innocence there, and they I spend like 5 minutes with them and I'm happy. I forget all my worries, but I know this is again momentary. It's not going to last forever, because they're going to grow up, they're going to have their own life, their own problems to deal with. They're not going to spend this time with me, or they're not going to be as innocent as they are now. But I'm grateful that I got this moment with them. I
Correct.
think you will definitely, all of us would definitely have those little moments in your daily life. I mean, in your daily routine that you can look forward to and be grateful for.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the last question I have for you is, what are the mindful techniques that you would suggest for for us to practice?
Okay. So there are n number of mindful techniques. You can adopt one of it, start with it, and gradually you can have your entire day full with mindfulness. You can start with mindful meditation. What is mindful meditation? There are different types of mindful meditation. The most simplest meditation is sit in one place or just lie down in one place and concentrate on your breath. When you are inhaling, concentrate on the crown of your head. When you are exhaling, focus on your belly. You start with it, and as you do this, n number of times, this shifting focus from here to here will happen subconsciously. But you have
Over a
to,
period of time.
correct, correct. So this is one thing. Be mindful of what are you eating, what are you drinking. Don't eat and drink while seeing something on your phone or doing some work. Eat and drink mindfully. Do your conversation with 100% focus and attention with your family members. You're just talking and scrolling on your phone is not going to help. That conversation has to be a mindful conversation. These are some most important practices that we can do, to start practicing mindfulness.
So I
You
think
just,
one may, I'm sorry, yeah.
yeah, you can also have a journal, emotion journal, when think and consciously you figure out what are the emotions that you are going through. Is there something that you really need to address? You can have a journal that you can practice with.
So when you spoke about the journal, this thing comes to my mind. I did this thing with my daughter. So I told her, write down the different emotions that you go through, and what triggers these emotions, uh, and how are you going to address these emotions. So I said, when you're angry, what makes you angry? What are the different situations in your in your day that makes you angry? How are you going to address and when you're angry for certain situations, for certain things, what happens to you at that point of time? What do you feel like doing at that point of time, and
Correct.
how are you going to address it? So I think
Absolutely.
that was one exercise I did with my daughter. And what I realized after that, or what she realized after that, was how she feels when she's angry. And she
Correct.
automatically, I didn't tell her what to do there. When she feels angry in a certain, like she said, when someone makes fun of me, I feel angry, and at that point of time, this is what I feel like doing it. But she had a solution to it, saying that, okay, this is what I'm going to do next time someone makes fun of me. So I think, like
That's
you
great.
said, yeah, like you said, when we write down a lot of things, we have a lot of clarity, and we have
Absolutely.
answers there.
Absolutely. So there are two more things, I usually do on a daily basis is you have to be mindful of your bodily senses. What is it
Very
that
true.
is happening exactly in your body? Whenever you are in a good state of mind or bad state of mind,
Yeah.
whatever it is, observe what
Both
is happening
very
within your body. And there's one game that I call it as play of five that I play usually just before sleeping. And what is that game? You concentrate of five things that are happening in your surrounding. And these five things could be, related to your senses. Can you smell something? What is it that you're hearing? What touch are you feeling? Or maybe you can just pick up one thing. What are the different five sounds that you can hear? This is, again help you to
Yeah, this kind of
practice
trains your
mindfulness
mind to
and
become more
awareness.
and more
Yes.
aware. Yeah, yeah, very true,
Yes.
very true. So, Ashmita, how important do you think that we start, telling kids to practice mindfulness, or put the kids into this practice of mindfulness?
Absolutely. So, the funniest thing is we are born with this, but over a period of time, we just forget and this mindfulness fizzles out somewhere
Yeah,
in our
very true.
daily
When we
routine.
have more and more things to do, and as we grow up, more studies to do, more projects to submit, and then we have a job, then things at home. So, a lot of tasks being added, we forget to be mindful.
Absolutely. So, this game, play of five, is a very interesting thing, which we can do with our kids.
Yeah, I think that's an easy thing. You can start
Easy
that with
thing.
toddlers also, and then move on to your teenagers also. I think that's something which everyone can do, in fact.
Absolutely.
Cool. So thank you so much, Ashmita, for being here today and giving us some insights on how to manage our state of mind and how to create a positive attitude. and how to be and sharing some mindful techniques that we can practice.
Thank you so much. The pleasure is mine. It was fun, interesting having this conversation with you.
Yeah, it was really fun and interesting having both the sessions with you, and it was really great session with you.
In fact, you have written an entire book on mindfulness. Is there something that you would like to share apart from whatever we had discussed?
No, I think that book covers everything. That's been something that I've learned throughout my life, and then I've done a lot of research also around it. So that, like you said, unless and until we give scientific facts or data, it's not easy for people to accept, or it's not easy for anyone to accept. So
Correct.
facts and data are the proof of something. So there's been a lot of research, and yes, I'm still working on the book, and by the end of July, I hope I release it.
Great. Superb. All the best.
So guys, do you have any questions? I think we've taken most of the questions here. No, I don't think we have any more questions. So thank you so much, Ashmita, once again.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.